Sovereign Calyx adjusted his neural receptors, directing the command center's external sensors toward the unremarkable azure emerald sphere that locals designated as Terra. What an inefficient use of cosmic territory, he mused. Report on the indigenous defense capabilities, he demanded, his speech carrying the distinctive grating undertone of the Silverian elite. Officer Mira glanced through several floating displays before responding. Rudimentary at best, Sovereign. Their satellite grid has detected our approach, but their armaments are primitive. She couldn't suppress a derisive trill on the final word. Primitive indeed, Calyx replied, mandibles clicking with amusement. These Terrans with their nuclear deterrents, like younglings threatening elders with water projectiles. The command crew chittered with laughter. The Silverian sovereignty had subjugated numerous star systems before targeting this one. Terrans, with their delicate physiology and emotional volatility, would scarcely merit a notation in their illustrious expansion. Initiate standard pre-conquest procedure, Calyx ordered. Disable communications networks, neutralize military installations, and prepare landing contingents. Acknowledged, Sovereign. Mira responded, her talons dancing across the control interface. And Mira. Yes, Sovereign. Transmit our customary message. Let's observe how they respond to inevitable extinction. Mira nodded, activating a sequence that would broadcast the Silverian ultimatum across all Terran communication channels. Surrender or face eradication. It was merely ceremonial. The invasion would proceed regardless. But Calyx savored the psychological torment it inflicted upon lesser species. Shortly thereafter, the initial wave of Silverian fighters pierced Terra's atmosphere, targeting military installations across the planet. Their energy weapons sliced through defenses effortlessly. Sovereign, the communications officer called out. We're receiving a response from the Terrans. Calyx pivoted his command chair. Display it. Let's witness their pathetic entreaties. The primary screen flickered to life, showing a Terran female in what appeared to be a military uniform. Her expression showed no fear, which Calyx found curious. Silverian vessel, she began, her voice steady and disconcertingly composed. This is Marshal Ilara Blackwood of Terra's Unified Defense Coalition. We acknowledge your declaration of hostilities. Calyx leaned forward, intrigued by the absence of terror in her tone. You have approximately 1/4 rotation to withdraw your forces before we respond, she continued. This is your sole warning. The bridge erupted in laughter. Calyx himself couldn't contain his amusement, his secondary breathing sacs inflating with hilarity. Respond with what? He asked between gasps. Your rudimentary nuclear projectiles. Your laughable energy weapons. What could you possibly? Sovereign, interrupted the tactical officer, his voice suddenly tense. I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from their lunar outpost. Calyx's amusement vanished. Elaborate. Difficult to classify, Sovereign. Nothing resembling their documented weapon systems. The energy pattern is, wait, multiple projectiles launching from lunar surface. Show me, Calyx commanded. The screen shifted to show Terra's moon, where dozens of light streaks emerged from what had appeared to be merely a research facility. Track their trajectory, ordered Calyx, his amusement completely evaporated. They're heading directly for our fleet, Sovereign. Impact imminent. Calyx's tactical training took over. Evasive maneuvers. Shields at maximum. Sovereign, the projectiles are altering course to match our movements, the tactical officer reported, panic evident in his voice. They appear intelligently guided. Impossible. Their technological level doesn't. The first impact rocked the command ship violently, throwing several crew members from their stations. Warning signals blared across the bridge. Damage report, Calyx demanded. Shield integrity critically compromised. Sovereign. Whatever struck us partially phased through our defensive barriers. A second impact came, then a third, each more devastating than the last. Fleet status. Calyx shouted over the chaos. Multiple vessels completely disabled, Sovereign, and several more reporting critical damage. The Terrans are. They're specifically targeting our propulsion systems. The screen flickered back to Marshal Blackwood, whose expression remained frustratingly composed. As you can observe, Sovereign, she said, your intelligence regarding Terra is woefully outdated. We have been aware of extraterrestrial civilizations for decades. We have been preparing. Kelex felt his blood chill. This encounter was not proceeding according to invasion protocol. Perhaps you're wondering about our apparent technological advancement. Blackwood continued. Let's simply say we received assistance. It seems your Silverian sovereignty has created numerous adversaries during your conquests. Adversaries who were eager to share their technology with us. Another violent tremor shook the bridge as fresh volleys of projectiles found their targets. Retreat, Kelex ordered, his voice barely audible. Sovereign, Mira questioned, clearly shocked by the command. I said Oritoriat, he roared. All vessels, emergency jump to rally point Epsilon. As the remaining Silverian ships scrambled to escape Terra's orbit, Marshal Blackwood delivered her final message. One additional matter, Sovereign. Those weren't our most powerful armaments, not remotely. This was merely a demonstration. Return to your sovereignty with this message. Terra is forbidden territory. We will not be conquered, and should you attempt again. She leaned closer to the camera, her eyes narrowing. You will regret this conflict more than any miscalculation your species has ever made. The transmission terminated as the Silverian command ship limped away from Terra, trailing plasma and debris. Several cycles later, in the security of deep space, Kelex stood before the Sovereign Council, explaining their humiliating defeat. The 7 ancient counselors stared down at him, their disappointment palpable. You retreated, stated High Counselor Zivox, his voice dripping with contempt. From Terrans. They possess technology far beyond our intelligence reports, Kelex defended. Technology that should be impossible for their developmental stage. So they have protectors, another counselor observed. Interesting. Which species? Unknown, Kelex admitted. But whoever armed them knew our vulnerabilities intimately. The council chamber fell silent as the implications settled. We require additional intelligence, Zivox finally decided. Deploy infiltration operatives. I want precise information about our adversary. Kelex bowed. It shall be done, High Counselor. And Kelex, Zivox added, failure is not acceptable. The sovereignty does not tolerate embarrassment. As Kelex departed the chamber, he couldn't shake the memory of Marshal Blackwood's calm confidence. Something about Terra didn't align with expectations, and he intended to discover what, even if he had to personally dissect every Terran on that planet. On Terra, in a subterranean facility beneath a mountain range, Marshal Blackwood stood before a different council, representatives from Terra's major nations. The Silverians retreated exactly as anticipated, she reported. Our defensive measures proved effective, and our secret remained secure. And their perception? Asked Councilman Hariri, fingers steepled before him. Blackwood nodded. They believe we received external assistance. The deception succeeded perfectly. Excellent, said Chairwoman Rivera. Let's hope it buys us sufficient time. What's the status of Project Ascension? Blackwood consulted her device. Director Chen reports final testing will conclude shortly. If successful, we'll have the capability to strike the Silverian homeworld directly. And if they return before completion? Questioned another council member. Blackwood smiled, a cold, determined expression that would have given even Kelex pause. Then they'll discover that Terrans excel at improvisation, she replied, activating a holographic display showing Terra's orbital defense network. And we have numerous surprises remaining. As the meeting concluded, Blackwood proceeded down a restricted corridor to a heavily guarded laboratory. Inside, Dr. Nathan Chen stood before what appeared to be a swirling vortex of energy contained within a massive ring. How is our classified weapon today, Doctor? She inquired. Chen turned, dark circles beneath his eyes betraying his exhaustion. The portal maintains stability. And what lies beyond? Well, let's just say the Silverians have no conception of what they've awakened. Blackwood gazed into the swirling energy. No, they certainly don't. Because the truth, the genuine reason Terra had advanced so rapidly, the secret they had concealed from the invaders, wasn't that they had allies. It was something far more terrifying. And when the Silverians inevitably returned, they would learn precisely why humanity should have been left undisturbed. The Silverian Infiltration Unit performed a final systems verification before atmospheric entry. Agent Vex adjusted his molecular restructuring implants, watching dispassionately as his exoskeleton morphed into the pink, fragile skin of a Terran male. "Revolting," he muttered, flexing his newly formed five-fingered hands. How these creatures accomplished anything with such limited appendages remained bewildering. "Prepare for deployment," announced his pilot. "Remember your mission parameters. Identify Terra's defensive capabilities, locate their technological benefactors, and determine the status of this Project Ascension." Vex acknowledged, securing his equipment. "Extraction in one planetary rotation cycle. If you miss the window, then I'm effectively terminated," Vex finished dryly. "The High Council won't risk another fleet for one operative." Comforting. "Launch when ready." The drop pod ejected silently, its stealth technology rendering it undetectable to Terra's monitoring systems. As Vex plummeted toward the continental landmass, he reviewed his cover identity. Professor Thomas Wells, visiting physicist from Oxford University, arriving for a symposium. His pod landed precisely at the calculated distance from his target, burying itself deep underground. After the pod self-destructed, Vex emerged onto Terra's surface, taking his first breath of oxygen-rich air. It felt thin, almost insubstantial compared to the dense atmosphere of his homeworld, but his modified respiratory system adapted swiftly. Shortly thereafter, Professor Wells confidently navigated through an international transit hub, having seamlessly integrated himself among arriving passengers. His falsified credentials passed security protocols without issue, and soon he was in a transport vehicle heading toward the urban center. "First visit?" asked the driver, a middle-aged Terran male with facial hair that Vex found particularly repulsive. "Indeed," Vex replied, mimicking the accent from his language assimilation. "I've heard the topography is spectacular." "Absolutely. Business or leisure?" "A physics conference. Rather technical material, I'm afraid." The driver laughed. "Enjoy your stay. Strange times lately, huh? That whole alien situation last month has everyone unsettled." Vex feigned ignorance. "Alien situation. You know, the attack, those spacecraft. It dominated the news." "Ah, that," Vex said carefully. "In my country, many believe it was merely military exercises misinterpreted. Perhaps mass hysteria." The driver snorted. "Right. Authorities can claim whatever they want. But I witnessed those ships personally." "Frightening business." Vex made appropriate noises of agreement while cataloging this information. Interestingly, the Terrans weren't concealing the attack from their general population. Most species preferred to shelter their civilians from such knowledge to prevent panic. After checking into his lodging, Vex activated his subdermal scanner, searching for unusual energy signatures. The results were puzzling. The region showed normal technological readings for a developing civilization. Nothing explained the weapons that had decimated half their fleet. For several days, Vex attended the physics conference, carefully analyzing the scientists present. Nothing suggested advanced knowledge beyond expectations for Terrans. However, on the fourth day, he noticed something curious. Dr. Nathan Chen, the name from intercepted communications about Project Ascension, was scheduled to present but canceled unexpectedly. Vex departed from the conference and accessed a secured terminal, connecting to the Terran Information Network. After bypassing their rudimentary security measures, he located Chen's credentials. The scientist worked for a defense research agency at a facility in the nearby mountains. found you," Vex whispered. That night, Vex disabled his lodging surveillance systems and reverted to his Silverian form. His mission required biological sampling, and maintaining the Terran disguise had depleted his energy reserves. After consuming triple his normal nutrient ration, he studied satellite imagery of the mountainous region, identifying several facilities with unusually high security. By dawn, he had resumed his Terran appearance and acquired a ground vehicle. The mountain roads were treacherous by Silverian standards but manageable. As he approached the coordinates of the most promising facility, his scanner detected something that chilled his blood. Energy readings that shouldn't exist on a planet like Terra. Energy with a signature he recognized all too well. Impossible, he breathed, halting the vehicle. The readings matched exactly one thing: ancient Silverian technology. Not modern, ancient, the kind documented in historical archives from before the Great Expansion. His communicator vibrated. "Report," commanded the voice of Lieutenant Commander Rix. "Sir, preliminary scans indicate anomalous readings consistent with pre-Imperial technology." A lengthy pause followed. "Confirm findings and proceed with extraordinary caution. This alters priorities. New primary objective: determine how Terrans acquired ancestral technology." "Understood," Vex replied, his mind racing. The implications were staggering if Terrans had somehow discovered relics from the Silverian ancestral period. He abandoned the vehicle and proceeded on foot, using natural cover to approach the facility. His scanner led him to what appeared to be a ventilation shaft, disguised as a geological formation. After disabling a surprisingly sophisticated alarm system, he descended into darkness. The facility was extensive, penetrating deep within the mountain. Vex navigated through maintenance passages, avoiding security checkpoints with practiced ease. The energy signature intensified as he descended, drawing him toward what must be the central chamber. Finally, he reached an observation gallery overlooking an enormous room. What he witnessed there froze him in place. In the center stood a massive ring structure filled with swirling energy that defied physical laws. Around it, Terrans in protective suits operated control stations. Directing operations was Dr. Nathan Chen. Vex enhanced his audio receptors to eavesdrop. "Stability approaching optimal parameters," reported a technician. "Improved from yesterday's readings." Chen nodded, recording notes. "Good. Prepare for test subject 7, same specifications as previously." A door opened and several Terrans transported a large container. From it, they removed. Vex stifled a gasp. A Zordian combat drone, a species from a distant galaxy that had resisted Silverian conquest for generations. "Initiating transference," announced another technician. The drone was positioned before the energy ring. Chen activated several controls, and the swirling energy expanded, engulfing the drone. For half a minute, nothing happened. Then the energy receded, leaving nothing. The drone had vanished. "Transference complete," confirmed the technician. "Receiving confirmation from Alpha Site. Drone arrived intact." Chen smiled. "Excellent. That completes 7 successful tests. I believe we're prepared for the Marshal's demonstration tomorrow." Vex had seen enough. This wasn't ordinary technology transfer from some Silverian enemy. This was something far worse. The ring wasn't merely a weapon. It was a gateway, a transportation device using principles abandoned by Silverians eons ago due to catastrophic dangers. He needed to report immediately. Backing away from the observation window, he retraced his path through the maintenance tunnels. He nearly reached the exit when alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. "Security breach. Intruder detected." Vex accelerated, reaching the ventilation shaft just as armed security forces flooded the corridors behind him. As he emerged, he found himself surrounded by Terrans in tactical gear, weapons trained on his position. Standing before them, looking entirely unsurprised, was Marshal Ilara Blackwood. "Professor Wells," she said, though her tone indicated she knew exactly what he was, Or should I address you as Agent Vex of the Silverian Infiltration Corps? Vex abandoned his Terran disguise, reverting to his natural form in a display intended to intimidate. The security team tensed but didn't fire. "How did you anticipate my presence?" he demanded. Blackwood smiled. "Because we permitted your entry." "Did you genuinely believe our security was so easily compromised?" "We've tracked you since atmospheric entry." "Then why allow me to witness your gateway technology?" "Because I wanted you to report exactly what you observed," Blackwood replied. "Your High Council needs to understand what they're confronting." "You're manipulating forces beyond your comprehension," Vex warned. "Gateway technology was abandoned by my people for valid reasons. The risks of interdimensional collapse." "We understand the risks perfectly," interrupted a new voice. Dr. Chen approached, regarding Vex with scientific curiosity. "We've resolved the quantum instability issues that plagued early designs. Your ancestors approached the solution, but lacked certain mathematical insights." Vex's mind raced. This defied logic. How could you possibly possess knowledge of ancestral technology? Terran civilization spans mere millennia. Our records of gateway technology extend millions of years into the past. Blackwood and Chen exchanged glances. "Should we reveal the truth?" Chen asked. Blackwood nodded. "He won't be reporting back regardless." Chen turned to Vex, his expression serious. "The gateway isn't merely a transportation device. It's a bridge across time. We didn't acquire this technology from your enemies. We received it from your future." Vex stared in disbelief. "Impossible." "Decades ago," Blackwood explained, "something crashed in a remote wilderness. Not a spacecraft. A temporal capsule sent from centuries in the future by humanity's final survivors. It contained technical specifications, historical records, and one unmistakable message: beware the Silverian sovereignty." She stepped closer to Vex, her eyes hardening. "Your sovereignty eventually conquers Terra along with hundreds of other worlds. But your dominion doesn't endure. Something follows you from the void between galaxies, something attracted by your widespread use of gateway technology." "The dimensional resonance," Vex whispered, the ancient warning from Silverian mythology suddenly assuming terrifying significance. "Precisely," Chen confirmed. "Entities that consume the energy released by interdimensional travel. Your sovereignty's ambition awakens them, and they devour everything. Silverians, Terrans, all sentient life in our galaxy." The temporal capsule contained just enough information for preparation. Blackwood continued, "including instructions for building our own gateway, calibrated to connect with a specific point in space-time." Understanding dawned on Vex. "The future, you're receiving weapons from yourselves." "Not weapons," corrected Chen. "Knowledge. Every test subject we transmit returns with advanced technology from our future selves. We're accelerating our development, compressing centuries of innovation into decades." Blackwood gestured to the security team, who moved forward to restrain Vex. "Project Ascension isn't a weapon. It's humanity's rebirth. We're altering the timeline, creating a future where neither Terrans nor Silverians succumb to the dimensional resonance." "Why reveal this?" Vex demanded as restraints secured his limbs. "I'll report everything to the High Council." "No," Blackwood said quietly, "you won't. Because right now, the gateway is being recalibrated to transmit one final message to your sovereignty." The ground trembled beneath them, and Vex felt an unprecedented surge of energy. "What have you done?" he asked, genuine fear in his voice. Blackwood checked her timepiece. "Momentarily, a specially designed temporal pulse will emanate from this facility. It will reach your homeworld instantly, carrying a simple message encoded uniquely for Silverian systems." "What message?" Her smile was cold. "The complete technical specifications of gateway technology, along with coordinates to what your legends call the Obsidian Void, the very location where dimensional resonance entities first emerge. Your leaders, being the conquest-obsessed fools they are, will perceive it as the ultimate weapon and construct it immediately." Horror spread through Vex's body. You're providing them the very technology that destroys everything. No, Chen corrected. We're providing a modified version, one that will appear flawless during testing, but when scaled for military application, will create a specific temporal anomaly that permanently seals interdimensional rifts, preventing the resonance entities from ever entering our reality. The pulse will also erase all knowledge of Terra's location from Silverian databases. Blackwood added, will be forgotten, a world your vessels pass without interest. Vex struggled against his restraints. You're rewriting history. We're preserving it, Blackwood countered. Both our species. The temporal capsule included a message specifically for you, Agent Vex. For me? How could they possibly? Because in the original timeline, you don't perish here. You escape, report back, and eventually become the supreme commander who leads the final resistance against the resonance entities. You die attempting to save what remains of both our civilizations. Blackwood activated a small device, playing a recording. Vex froze as he heard his own voice, aged and weary. To my earlier self, what you're witnessing isn't betrayal, it's salvation. Trust the Terrans. Their strategy represents our only hope. The sovereignty's path leads exclusively to extinction. Make the proper choice. Silence enveloped the group as the recording ended. Vex stared at Blackwood, his understanding of reality fragmenting. The choice is yours, she said simply. Help us rewrite the future or perish clinging to a past that culminates in annihilation. Vex looked from Blackwood to Chen, then to the mountain facility surrounding them, a temple constructed to alter destiny itself. In that moment, he made a decision that defied everything he had ever believed about duty, sovereignty, and the natural order of the universe. What do you require of me? Days later, as the Silverian extraction vessel entered Terra's atmosphere under darkness, they received a transmission on an encrypted frequency. Mission accomplished, came Vex's voice, requesting immediate extraction. The ship landed at the designated coordinates where Vex waited alone. Report, demanded the pilot as Vex boarded. What did you discover? Vex presented a data crystal. Everything is documented here. The Terrans have no external allies. Their advanced weapons were largely deceptive, mostly holographic projections and repurposed satellites. And Project Ascension, a failed attempt to develop teleportation technology. They hope to create instant troop deployment capabilities, but their understanding of quantum physics is woefully inadequate. The pilot appeared skeptical. The High Council will demand conclusive evidence. The data crystal contains all my scan results, Vex assured him. Terra poses no significant threat to the sovereignty. Her technological advancement was greatly exaggerated. As the ship accelerated toward space, Vex gazed down at the blue-green planet below. In his possession was a small device provided by Chen, a quantum communicator allowing him to maintain contact with Terra as he worked from within the sovereignty to prepare for the impending changes. The Terran plan was audacious, desperate, and possibly insane, but if the alternative was cosmic extinction. Preparing for hyperspace jump, announced the pilot. Course set for Silverian space. Vex acknowledged, his expression unreadable. The High Council awaits our report. As Terra vanished behind them, Vex permitted himself a slight smile. The Silverians had indeed come to regret this conflict, not because they had lost, but because in choosing Terra as their target, they had inadvertently initiated events that would save them from a far worse fate. Sometimes, he reflected, defeat could constitute the greatest victory of all. On Terra, Marshal Blackwood stood before the gateway as it powered down for the final time. The temporal pulse had been transmitted, and already her sensors detected subtle alterations in the timeline. Was it successful? She asked Chen. The scientist studied his readings, then looked up with a smile of genuine relief. The quantum signatures are stabilizing. The probability of dimensional resonance emergence has plummeted to negligible levels. And Vex. The extraction vessel retrieved him as planned. According to revised timeline projections, He eventually ascends to the High Council and guides the Silverian sovereignty into an era of peaceful expansion and scientific advancement. Blackwood placed her hand on the inactive gateway. "And what about us? What happens to Terra now?" Chen's smile broadened. "That's the remarkable aspect, Marshal. For the first time since we received the temporal capsule, our future remains unwritten." As technicians began dismantling the gateway, Blackwood gazed upward, imagining the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, the Silverian sovereignty continued its expansion, unaware that their greatest enemies had become their salvation. The final transmission from Terra hadn't been a warning after all. It had been a promise of something better.